The Pope just picked a fight he can't win. He thought his deleted tweets were gone. He thought his old social media account, the one full of anti-Trump, anti-Vance, anti-America First posts, had vanished the moment white smoke rose over the Sistine Chapel. But here's the thing about the internet. Nothing disappears. The internet's forever. And now the first American Pope in the history of the Catholic Church is in an all-out political war with the American president. And that's just where it begins. Make sure you stick with me to the very end of this video, because I'm going to show you not only how this Pope walked into this fight, but why his own ancient walls are the greatest argument against everything he's preaching. Hey gang, it's me, Dr. Steve, your patron professor, here to help you make sense of the madness with breaking news and analysis you're not going to get anywhere else. So you know what to do. Make sure to smack that bell and subscribe button. All right, so Pope Leo the 14th, born Robert Francis Prevost in Chicago, Illinois, had a Twitter account under the handle @Dr. Prevost, or I guess Dr. Prevost. That account, which was deleted the day after he was elected Pope on May 8th of last year, had been used repeatedly to reshare articles that blatantly attacked the Trump administration's immigration policies and attacked J.D. Vance's Roman Catholic theology directly. We're not talking about private letters here. These were public retweets, public endorsements, retweeted articles with headlines like, J.D. Vance is wrong. Jesus doesn't ask us to rank our love for others, and a number of similar, often very politically left-wing articles. And this week, Trump found them. He reshared them on Truth Social and wrote, "Not good." Then over the next 72 hours, he called the Pope weak on crime, terrible for foreign policy, and claimed that the Pope had been chosen as an American specifically to try to handle Donald Trump. The Pope, flying to Algiers, responded with this.
What did you think? He said that you were terrible at foreign policy, you had fear of the Trump administration.
I have no fear of neither the Trump administration nor speaking out loudly about the message of the gospel. And that's what I believe. I am called to do what the church is called to do. We're not politicians. We're not looking to make foreign policy, as he calls it, with the same perspective that he might understand it. But I do believe that the message of the gospel, blessed are the peacemakers, is the message that the world needs to hear today.
Thank you very much for clarifying.
Now, to be rather blunt here, that was simply not genuine, what he just said there. Again, in all due respect, his claim that he's not political was radically contradicted by what he did mere days before when he met with Obama's right-hand man, David Axelrod, personally. This is Obama's chief political strategist from both 2008-2012 campaigns. Axelrod met privately with Pope Leo at the Vatican just days before Leo would say that he's not political. What the heck is he meeting with David Axelrod for? And it just so happens that just days after that meeting with Obama's right-hand man, who, keep in mind, remember, is also from Chicago, just days after meeting with Obama's right-hand man, the Pope suddenly publicly torches Trump and criticizes him over the war with Iran? Oh, what a coincidence. Of course it would have nothing to do with decoupling Catholics away from Trump and back to Axelrod and Obama's Democrat Party. Of course not, especially for someone who's not political. It's such an absurd dichotomy. And that's because the gospel is itself radically political. To publicly declare Jesus Christ is Lord, historically speaking, was a radical political statement. It was a declaration of treason in the Greco-Roman world. In the Roman Empire, you could call your gods whatever you want. It's very polytheistic. You could call your gods whatever you want, but you don't call them Lord. The Greek word was Kyrios. You never say Kyrios Jesus Christos. You never say Jesus Christ is Lord. There's only one Lord. There's only one Kyrios in the Roman Empire, and that's Kaiser Kyrios. That's the Lord Caesar. Calling your God Lord is a first-class ticket to your own execution. Just ask 11 of the 12 apostles. The gospel has always been political, and that's why the Pope Then Robert Prevost posted so many far leftist retweets that openly criticized President Trump and his immigration policies. Oh, but I'm not being political. Yeah, nonsense. Border czar Tom Homan, himself a devout Catholic, wasn't having any of this. Here's what he had to say.
I'm not going to speak for the president. I'm speaking for myself, a lifelong Catholic. I wish they stay out of immigration. They don't know what they're talking about. Because if they wore my shoes for 40 years and talked to a 9-year-old girl that got raped multiple times, or stood in the back of tractor trailer with 19 dead aliens at my feet, including a 5-year-old boy that baked to death, if they understood the atrocities that happen on an open border, I think their opinion would change. And I welcome a discussion with any of them, because they don't understand. Illegal immigration is not a victimless crime. Where President Trump had the most secure border in the lifetime of this nation right now, lives are being saved. He's saving thousands of lives a year because he has a secure border. Human traffickers are out of business, right? The cartels are going bankrupt because of that secure border. I wish they'd understand that, because if they did, I think they have a different opinion.
And that's just so good. And it so perfectly exposes just how political this Pope is. His opinion about Trump and this war and open borders, it's not a theological opinion. It's not a logical opinion. It's a political one, a politically left-wing one. Only a third worldist leftist sees borders as oppressive and illegal migrants as all oppressed. When in point of fact, open borders unleashes a torrent of oppressive, vicious, violent actors to prey on true victims, as Tom Homan pointed out. The only people on the planet who don't see that are political leftists and this Pope. But it's what surrounds this Pope in his own backyard at the Vatican that's perhaps the single most powerful refutation to his denunciations of them all.
Look at how this works for the Pope. Pope wants to fix the Catholic Church. I'm saying this as a lifelong Catholic. I was baptized Catholic. I was First Communion as a Catholic. Confirmation as a Catholic. He ought to fix the Catholic Church and concentrate on his work and leave border enforcement to us. He wants to attack us for securing our border. He's got a wall around the Vatican, does he not? So he's got a wall around to protect his people and himself, but we can't have a wall around the United States. So I wish he'd stick to the Catholic Church and fix that and leave border enforcement to us.
Yeah, that's Tom Homan again, bringing fire. He's pointing out one of the most inconvenient truths imaginable. The Vatican, as I've seen with my own eyes, is surrounded by an impenetrable wall. I mean, guys, do you have any idea the level of security you have to go through to enter into that sovereign nation? Smallest one on the planet, right? The Vatican built a 39-foot wall that's treated as heritage and history. America builds a border wall, and we're told it's immoral. I'm sorry, you can't have it both ways. You cannot live in a walled-in sovereign city-state and then lecture a sovereign nation for wanting a comparable wall. The principle is identical. The only difference is who's doing the building. Again, the key to the border wall is the same principle as to why we lock our doors at night. We don't lock our doors because we hate the people on the outside. We lock our doors because we love the people on the inside. Shall I say that again? Right? We do not lock our doors because we hate the people on the outside and we want to oppress them. We lock our doors at night because we love the people on the inside. And that leads me to what I believe to be one of this Pope's most irresponsible criticisms of this administration, his criticism of J.D. Vance invoking the classical concept of ordered loves in defending our borders and our immigration policy. Again, Pope Leo is not thinking theologically or logically when he torches J.D. Vance on this. He's thinking politically leftist. So you may remember J.D. Vance, this is an interview he did with Sean Hannity back in January of last year. He invoked this principle of ordered loves when he said this.
There's this old school, and I think it's a very Christian concept, by the way, that you love your family, and then you love your neighbor, and then you love your community, and then you love your fellow citizens in your own country, and then after that, you can focus and prioritize the rest of the world.
Now, you would think that that is obvious, right? But it's actually a classical Christian doctrine. It goes all the way back to the Hellenistic philosophers like Plato and Aristotle. St. Augustine called it ordo amoris, the ordering of our loves, your first and foremost responsibility is to your family, and then to your neighbor, and then to your wider community, and then to your nation. And then we have our concern, our love for those outside our borders. But the utterly imbecilic notion that I'm supposed to love other women in the same way I love my wife or my children is patent nonsense. And the Trump administration's border policies are designed to protect those very citizens whose protection he's been entrusted with. Trump has been entrusted to protect the people inside the borders of the United States, not the people inside the borders of Guatemala. Their government has been entrusted with that. That doesn't mean we don't love them. That doesn't mean we don't care for them. But again, only a third worldist who sees enforced borders as a sign of oppression could possibly have an issue with that. And unfortunately, that's our current pope, whose public policy advocacies appear to be drenched in progressive realism. And of course, this has been a problem in Catholicism now for decades. Liberal modernity has absolutely infested the Catholic Church all the way up to the highest levels, especially the papacy, where political pronouncements are routinely couched in cultural Marxist terms. You'll notice this pope never calls out the NGOs who actually profit off of open borders. He never calls out George Soros or the havoc that's been unleashed by far-left activists disguised as judges who've allowed murderous thugs back in the streets to prey on innocent victims, often murdering them. The Vatican will never criticize the CCP. They'll never criticize Islamic regimes or anything like that. In fact, Pope Leo has had more to say, more criticism towards Donald Trump than he has for the current Iranian regime. Why? In the end, it's because they're progressive realists. The Vatican largely believes that the liberal modernists won the day, so the only political opinions that matter are the ones couched in leftist terms. It's very, very sad, and it totally misreads the civilizational moment that is at hand that we're living in. Bottom line, until this pope can explain why the Vatican's wall is holy, but all other walls of sovereign nations that they want to build are immoral, the rest of us are going to keep asking that question because the walls are still standing, and so are we.